welcome to
the Projector
welcome
booth. We'll work on the timing. We'll get it eventually.
I, of course, am Avery Oberth.
I'm Colin Clarke.
And we're here to round up all of your movie fixins.
So we'll be talking in-depth review of the Odyssey, of course, on this episode. But first, we've got some industry news that's happening. What'd you say? So the first one is the writer, director, actor, Coleman
Domingo. So there's a little scuttlebutt right now. There's a little whispering on the grapevine that he has been chosen to direct a live-action Tiana movie for Disney. Now, it's unclear right now if this is a live-action Princess and the Frog adaptation,
gotcha,
or if it's something more along the lines of like what Maleficent or Cruella were, for example, where it's like they are kind of live-action adaptations, but not like remakes of the old movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, an expansion of I get it, the Wicked of Princess and the Frog.
Yeah.
Princess and the Frog is like big with.
You know, it's a movie that I still need to watch. I've never watched it, like ever since it's been out, but I really, really need to because it does intrigue me. Like it seems like a pretty neat little movie. But yeah, that's just a neat little thing to keep an eye out for. Really, the bigger conversation this week, I think, is the Avengers Doomsday trailer, the big official trailer. No more teasers.
Right,
it's finally out.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that was like leaked, right? Because I saw scenes purporting to be from trailers from the Avengers Doomsday, which had like individual like Steve Rogers or Mr. Fantastic or something like that. And this is like, okay, this is Marvel's official announcement. Movie comes out, December? And it's going to be the next big Avengers movie.
December 18th, I think, is when it comes out. There's like a big countdown clock that I think is just constantly on the Marvel Entertainment YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm sure every YouTube time you load that, like they're using some tech to update the clock or something. What'd you think of the trailer? Are you looking forward to this movie? Is this just like everyone is going to see this movie because it's a new Avengers?
I really don't know. So I know that people are really excited for the new Spider-Man movie that's coming up at the end of this month, but like I think that there's just been a lot more conflicting feelings for Doomsday. I know I'm definitely pretty. I'm keeping my eye on it, but I'm not really quite as excited as I would be for like Infinity War or Endgame or something like that, like as I was back then.
Well, those felt like the accumulation. You know, like you studied and those were the tests or whatever. You know, like that was the reward for studying so long.
Yeah,
you got this big giant story that concluded it, and that was the end of the Marvel experiment. And now it's like we're still doing it.
It really, like, it does not feel like this buildup has been very structured. You know,
right.
it feels like a lot of scatterbrained ideas just kind of thrown at the wall. And this is the movie that's trying to tie it all together by introducing a new villain that we have not like gotten any setup for yet, you know?
Because we had a Fantastic Four. I didn't even see it. I mean, I've been so like, I don't care about these new, like I will see Spider-Man, obviously, it's like, that's a character that goes back to the 60s. Like there's an investment there. The Avengers I'll see because, I've followed all the other Marvel movies. But this one, it's like, it's Fantastic Four, the
X-Men.
Thunderbolts.
Yeah, it's Thunderbolts, some returning Avengers. Steve Rogers, Chris Evans, Steve Rogers is back. That's like the big thing that they're trying to sell this movie with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted about it, but I guess we'll have to see when it comes out.
There you
go. But yeah. So, bit of a shorter segment right now, but that's just because we had so much to say about Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. We'll see you there. And we're back. Now, we are here to finally talk about The Odyssey from Christopher Nolan.
So this is, I guess, right? It's like Christopher Nolan's trying to bring back the Hollywood epic with an adaptation of the oldest story, probably one of the oldest stories.
One of the oldest stories easily. I think the Epic of Gilgamesh is still older, but this is easily like 2,000, 3,000 years old.
Yeah, because we got Beowulf. Robert Zemeckis did Beowulf. Well, there's been a couple of, When was the Odyssey done last?
I honestly don't remember because there have been a lot of other movies that have they've been sort of vague retellings of the Odyssey. Like there was Oh Brother Where Art Thou is like very Odyssey-esque.
Right.
And And it's just like it just kind of goes to show that this story is a very influential story,
Yeah.
like just like throughout culture and history and
Hero's
and
journey.
storytelling. Yeah, in a lot of ways. Yeah.
It was done in 54. Kirk Douglas was in it. It was called Ulysses because I guess that's the Latin. Odysseus in Latin is Ulysses. So it was done then. And there was a mini series with Armand Assante, who actually is Greek, right? Isn't he?
Don't ask
I think
me.
he's, and it's so then there, I think there was a French television adaptation. I have seen none of those, to be fair.
Your knowledge on that is way deeper than
Well, I
mine.
looked it up this weekend because I was like, okay, how come I haven't seen like the Odyssey, this big, gigantic, epic fantasy movie or Greek mythology movie done before?
Right. Right.
Yeah, so it follows the exploits of Odysseus following the Trojan War.
Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, leaving the Trojan War, leaving behind his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus, played respectively by Anne Hathaway and Tom Holland in this movie.
And the movie follows, I guess, two plot lines. That would be Odysseus's journey home. It takes him, I guess he's gone from home a total of 20 years, 10 years for the war itself, and then another 10-year journey home. And he encounters gods and monsters, we'll say, like as on that journey that delay him.
Mhm.
And meanwhile, his wife and son are basically fending off challengers to the throne in the form of suitors for the queen, and that's led by Robert Pattinson playing the ostensible villain of the movie, right? And Telemachus is also trying to figure out like what actually happened to his dad, because some of the other folks who fought in the war have returned home. Where is Odysseus?
It is a very engaging story just to like kind of follow along on this man's journey, like his attempts to get back home, but all these obstacles keep getting in this way. Like he like runs into like various different like strange lands and creatures and things like that as he's just trying to make his way back home.
I appreciate that this is the latest entry in the "we have to bring Matt Damon home" saga, on-screen saga, right? Which even Christopher Nolan's made one of those kind of.
Yeah, I mean a little bit.
Yeah. So Nolan, like when was the last time that he did a? I guess I'm thinking like adaptations, right? Oppenheimer's based on a book.
It is based on specifically a biography, American Prometheus, about J. Robert Oppenheimer.
But his thing, I guess so Batman is basically like a fantasy kind of concept.
It is, those could count as adaptations, but it's really just like he's taking elements of like some of Batman's most famous stories and kind of like bringing them into what he wants to do, which is more of a grounded like crime thriller.
Right. So this, I think, is what he's bringing to the Odyssey in a way, not a crime thriller, but he's grounding in some way, right? It's like he's stripping off the super fantastical in a way to make the story appear more, I guess it's his way of believing it.
I definitely like one of the things that I really enjoyed about the movie, because like I will say just up front, I really liked this movie. Like this was a really cool movie. And it's just like I really like the way that he made all of the like mythological elements feel so tangible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like it all feels very grounded, but still like believably otherworldly and strange.
Yeah, because we even go to, I guess, the shores of Hades at one point. There's witches, there's a cyclops, sea monsters, but you go like, how is Christopher Nolan, who's not generally known for
very like spectacular, like CGI spectacle type things,
right? Because he seems to gravitate more towards like science fiction. And even like I said, he like strips most of the fantastical elements from Batman, and so he's it does feel like he's doing that again here. It's like they're referencing, Zeus and Hades and Poseidon and all that, but we see like, I guess, forces of nature that kind of represent the gods rather than actually seeing on-screen gods, right?
I do think that the way that they sort of like visually communicated the presence of the gods, instead of just like, showing us like big bearded men in
Right.
togas and things like that. It's just like the way that Zeus and Poseidon, like you never see them physically manifested outside of just like the forces of nature that they control, like the elements that are just kind of like battering Odysseus and his men on their journey. But there is one goddess that we see kind of personified in this movie, that being Athena, played
Mhm.
by Zendaya.
Right. Yeah. She makes, and there's, well, the way that she ties into the movie itself and the plot is interesting in a way that, I guess thematically, I ended up seeing a lot of what occurs in this film as, like a guy dealing with post traumatic stress. You know,
For
he's
sure.
been to war. I
Yeah.
don't think this is in the text of the Odyssey. I think this is what Christopher Nolan is bringing to this story, right?
Yeah, sure. So again, I haven't read the story in a while because it's one of those required readings in like college or high school. For me, it was college, and it's just like even then, it was a little hard for me to follow along with everything, like the way that it's written. It's just like the way that things are described. It's just I've never been much of a reader. That's why I'm so into movies.
Yeah. I
um,
don't think I've ever read it, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, as I was watching it, I'm like, I know all of this, but I can't remember the actual text, you know? So
right.
I don't remember if I actually did read it or if I've just absorbed it,
Mhm.
you know, by, cultural osmosis.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's like I feel like generally the Odyssey is portrayed as more of like a swashbuckling adventure with like like there's danger and thrills at every turn, like things like that. It feels very adventurous, but the thing that I really enjoyed about this movie, because it's always been in the back of my mind, is like the tone is so much more somber.
Hmm.
Like, it doesn't feel like this exciting, thrilling adventure so much as just like it is a it is a hardened, like, desperate quest to just return home. But, like, there's so many things that just keep getting in the way and tormenting these people as they try to make their way back. And it really, like, it feels like it's sort of a symbolic journey of Odysseus, like, trying to work through the, like, guilt and regret and
Hmm.
the trauma that he experienced from the Trojan War, and just kind of, like, these conflicting feelings as he's trying to find his way home. Um
Yeah. Cause it seems to have like, I mean, it's I suppose a comment on our times also. It's like these, he has like
I need everyone in
a
this
guilt
party
that
dead.
I suppose civilization, like he's contributed to changing
Mhm.
civilization in a way, right? I mean,
You're
and I guess
imagining things fade.
there's always these mentions of the sea people, right?
Maybe
This is the
they'll
next
control
thing.
this.
It's like there was us in our era, and then the next thing I suppose is the Vikings, the Viking era, or something that they were talking about. It's like they're just they come in like home invaders, It's like, and we kind of opened the door to that. I guess is the guilt that it feels like he's facing.
There is definitely, and I remember this being really like hammered into me in school. Is like there's a big focus in the Odyssey story on like the sort of like Greek culture, specifically of like the culture of hospitality,
Hmm.
which in this movie is called Zeus's law.
Hmm.
It's like treat others as you would yourself, essentially. And really, nowadays we call that the golden rule or
Hmm.
whatever. But really, like, I agree with what you're saying about how it feels very much like Nolan is trying to send a message, uh, kind of reflecting on modern times and how like this golden rule, the Zeus's law, is has been lost a little bit. Like we live in a current social climate that is very like in conflict with itself. Like there are so many people just passionately arguing with each other, like unable to really like be kind or like see eye to eye, understand each other's perspectives. And so,
It's all his fault.
yeah,
No, I mean,
it is all Odysseus's fault.
I mean, there's some bit to the movie where a theme I think that I think he comes to eventually is that in the beginning when there's much to do about his bow, the famous bow that he could string and nobody else could, and
Mhm.
it's the test for the suitors and all that. But he always gives his prey. It's his hunting bow, and he always like seems to give them a warning that he's there, like in the interest of fair play.
Mhm.
And there is this realization that happens, and I think this leads to his uh, central like internal conflict is that he didn't give the Trojans, that opportunity.
It
You
it
know,
it,
it's
it
like he won because he broke his own rule.
and not just his own rule of sort of like
Yeah, yeah, right.
but also just like again circling back to Zeus's law, they broke Zeus's law. They took advantage
Mhm,
of this whole like idea of hospitality because I think in the original myth the Trojan horse was taken as sort of a trophy of victory by the people of Troy, but in this it's received as a peace offering from the Greeks.
mhm,
And so they take it like they put it up as like this sort of prideful display that the war is over, like now we can have peace. And so Odysseus was the one to take advantage of that, to deceive them basically and take advantage of their hospitality and their kindness,
mhm,
their desire for peace, so that they could, sneak in like a virus basically and infect their city
mhm.
and take them down from within.
Brilliant tactical maneuver, but is it? Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's how you win.
And it's definitely like the fact that it was an offering dedicated to the goddess Athena,
Mhm,
and so that is the goddess that is personified and literally haunts him throughout the film.
mhm.
It's like there's so many different things that you can dig into
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
There's a really cool little twist that happens towards the end, which we can't
Right,
spoil
right,
here, of
right.
course. But it's a really beautiful story.
What would you think of the casting? I mean, that was the thing, I guess, about the movie. Like, I heard chatter on the internet, and maybe I knew the full cast list. I'm not sure, but basically, I went into it, and it did seem like every scene was like, oh, so and so's. Oh, hey, like, oh, there's somebody else. Like, wow. I mean, it was even the smallest roles. I mean, James Remar, who I'm a fan of, like shows up at some point as the blind prophet,
Mm.
in Hades. And I was like, oh, is it James like what, So, I mean, it does seem to like right down the line. What'd you think of Damon? I guess like his,
Yeah, so I remember like when I heard that Matt Damon was cast as Odysseus, I'm like, that's interesting because it's like when I think of Matt Damon, I guess like I'm really just like stuck with like him like playing the sort of like smarmy like snarky characters, like his character in The Martian, uh, James Watney, something Watney.
maybe. Yeah. Remember,
Um,
he's going to science the expletive out of this.
or like or like Goodwill Hunting, for example, like his
Oh,
character
okay.
there
So
is just
you
like
don't go to like the Jason Bournes or whatever.
no,
Yeah.
not so much.
Yeah.
But it's just like so. Like that's what I think of when I think of Matt Damon, and so when I saw him cast in this movie as Odysseus, like this really like battle worn like
Hmm.
warrior, like this legendary king of myth. It's
Hmm.
just like I was like that's interesting, but he just like he brings it all in
Hmm.
this. I feel like everyone is just at the top of their game in this movie. It's really really great.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's at the right age to play this. He has like that kind of weariness, but I also believe like his strength. I believe that he was a fighter. I mean, he is like one of literature's like greatest heroes. And I do think, even though it like gives him two, um, not climaxes, I guess, to his arc, but I suppose it's like, we have a hero who feels guilty about this thing that they did you know, brilliant tactical maneuver, but he feels guilty about it. So you're like, it's kind of a bummer. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it's like, okay, but his second objective then is to come back home and, is he going to reclaim the throne of Ithaca or whatever?
Mhm.
And so then there's like this 40-minute climax to the movie, where he gets to be, like, um, just like the heroic character, uh, that I guess that you paid to see. It's like, oh, I see. This is why this guy is, you know,
He's such a legend.
yeah, legend. There you go.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was thinking of a different word and trying to work around like, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I did also want to touch on the fact that this movie is scary. Like it is a scary movie at times. It is
Mhm,
genuinely horrifying, and
mhm,
I was so fascinated. Like I was so excited by that. Honestly, specifically the scenes that stuck out to me were the Cyclops cave with Polyphemus
mhm,
and the scene with Circe the witch.
mhm. With Samantha Morton, right? Who, I
Hmm.
mean, has done really great work before. Like, seems like when she showed up in this, like her and that performance is extremely intense
Oh
and
yeah.
chilling.
I love the diversity of the character as well, like the range, I guess I should say, because when we're introduced to her, like she just seems like a scared, like vulnerable
Hmm.
woman essentially, and so we
Yeah.
immediately sympathize with her, and so that's very quickly like twisted when we see that she is a very cruel and vindictive woman,
Hmm.
you know, that just like it's so fascinating, and the way that like Nolan relies on practical effects and like old school movie magic
Yeah.
tricks for both that scene and like the Cyclops cave. I found out like there was barely any CGI, like computer generated like visual effects for the Cyclops sequence.
But
Seriously, yeah. Like
there's a
I'm.
big giant guy.
I mean, I think there was definitely some digital like meddling for like his face and things like that, which the design for the Cyclops itself is just it appeals to me so much.
Hmm.
It's so like weird. Like
Yeah.
it's not what we're used to, where it's just like it's a big guy, just one eye in the center. It's just
Yeah.
it feels like a twisted, like malformed
Right.
misremembering of a human.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really interesting. But yeah, it's just like apparently most of what they did was just a lot of like forced perspective, like projection.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a rear projection type trickery. And they built like a giant puppet,
Uh huh.
like a big marionette type puppet for the Cyclops. For like, you know, there's scenes in the dark where like its hand reaches out to grab them and stuff like that. I think they used it for that. And
See,
I was,
that stuff is fascinating because, like, when I was watching the movie, I guess I mean, I know that Christopher Nolan is kind of a evangelist for like I don't want to say low tech because it's still high tech, but it's a modern version. What modern technology allows of techniques that were used in like Hollywood's golden era, maybe like epic movies of the 50s and 60s. You know, those
mhm,
big widescreen.
like Ben-Hur and
Yeah,
stuff like
right.
that. Yeah.
Um, so it's like he's appropriating those techniques and doing it. And I sat there and there were a lot of scenes where I'm like, okay, I don't know how they're doing this. I would assume that this is CG. You know, Troy is burning and, all this. And I believe they actually did a lot of that stuff for real. Or the cast of thousands, you know, I always look back at like movies like Gone with the Wind,
Mhm.
where they had casts of 10,000 people in a shot. And I think he's trying to do something like that. But again, I don't know. In this age, I don't know if there's CGI trickery happening. I know in Dunkirk, he used cutouts, to force perspective down the beach and all that. But
Right.
it does feel like a lot of that. Let's put it this way. I believed everything that I was seeing.
Mhm.
It felt like it was captured on film. And the other thing, because I was thinking like Gareth Edwards did this with his 2014 Godzilla, where he would shoot everything from, let's say, a human perspective, human level perspective, right? Foreground of the central actor, and in the background, right behind them in the sky, you
Oh yeah.
see all this stuff happening. So Nolan, it felt like wouldn't use drone or helicopter shots that you usually see CGI set extensions and stuff like that.
Right.
He was like, okay, you're down here with the guys, and all the stuff that's happening around them and behind them looms over them. It's an
um,
interesting perspective in today's movie marketplace.
for sure. Do you have any like critiques about this movie though? Like any nitpicks?
I thought it got off to a rocky start.
That's
I think
interesting.
it took a little while for me because Nolan likes to employ an editorial. He jumps back and forth in time and around the narrative. And when it first started doing that, I'm like, okay, it was almost like I'm like, okay, I got to settle in for Christopher Nolan doing his, So maybe it took a little while for me to get, okay, here's the two stories that we're following.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's interesting. So like there's been a lot of complaints in the lead up to this movie. Basically, there's been a lot of online controversy. Some of it I think is just like completely irrelevant. People complaining about Elliot Page being cast in a relatively significant role, or Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy, for example.
mhm.
Um, I don't really care about any of that. I think that they did a really, really well in these roles.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's like they're not the main focus of the story. Like they are very minor little characters in the story. Um,
They used to say any press is good press.
You know?
Yeah, because I mean, you create an awareness, a hyper awareness, and then people are going to go see it to just find out. So, like, I don't know, all that stuff seems irrelevant to the movie.
There
It's
is there is also the matter of the dialogue in this movie though, and that did throw me for a loop at a couple points because they speak with largely American accents
right.
in pretty modern English. You know, like you're not going into this, you're not going to hear like Shakespearean, like really verbose, like
Right.
poetic.
It's not
language.
a Robert Eggers movie.
It's just like it's kind of like regular people talking to
Yeah.
each other for a lot of the time. But I settled into it. I feel like it was one of those things that really helped you immerse into these characters and make it all feel so much more tangible in the moment. Really, my biggest critique with the movie, and really one of my only critiques, is I didn't really care for the third act.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
which is
okay.
like, you know, a lot of people cite the third act as their favorite, and there are definitely some really like big highlights. I think that the way that it's paced, it drags a little too much for me. It spends a lot of time on, you know, Odysseus like having returned home, but he's unable to like reveal his identity. Like he has to
Right.
pretend to be a beggar before he can like officially integrate back into his home for his own safety and for his
They
family's
made
safety.
like a whole movie out of that. Was it last year? The Return with Ray Fiennes. I think it is that section of the movie as a full feature film.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it is definitely an important part of the story, and I do remember it like being a pretty relevant part of the original tale. But it's just like I felt like some of the sequences just could have been trimmed up a little more. The big fight sequence, especially, like I know it's meant to be this big climactic sequence, like, and it's meant to almost feel exhausting with how many men there are and how many people he's taking on. But it's just like I felt like at a certain point, it's just like we can trim this up. Like this is a little much, you know.
At the end of 3 hours, you're like, okay, I've been here long enough. I didn't have that problem, but I actually was, you know, more into it as it went. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I can see
Yeah.
obviously that it's a long movie.
It is a long movie,
They
but
used
it
to
is
put
a good
intermissions
movie.
in the movies, but yeah, you could get up and recharge or empty your bladder, and now you can't. You just like
But yeah. So, would you recommend this?
100% towering cinematic achievement. I don't know. That probably gets overused. It's very, let's call it colossal and tactile version of the Odyssey. And I thought like moving. Like, you know, no one has loved anyone like Penelope loves Odysseus. You know? Just pining for that guy for like, she is determined. Yeah.
See, so you say colossal and tactile, and I do agree with that. I would describe it almost more as personal and haunting. This is a haunting movie. I didn't even get to touch on the score. The score is just, it's haunting is the only word I can describe it as. Maybe ethereal. It's so evocative. It's brilliant. It's beautiful.
It's not big. It's not like a big score.
It is not a big story. Like it's not like don't go into this expecting like Lord of the Rings or like kind of like big like orchestral sweeping. Like it is a very heartfelt tale of a man trying to find his way home from like horrors that no one should ever have to experience. And I think it's brilliantly done. See it in IMAX. You just watch it. Just watch it on the big screen. You know?
Right. Yeah. Recommended. That's 2 recommends for the Odyssey.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, we appreciate you stopping into the Projector's booth for another week. It was a pleasure to talk about this wonderful movie with you. And yeah, we'll see you next week.